and, doing something about human trafficking because it is a real thing. And it's close to here. This past Thursday night, I had one of my officers move a victim from Laurel to Pearl, and this morning I had to move a victim from Hattiesburg to Columbus to a safe house. And it's happening here, okay? So I'm not going to take up any more of your time. Brother, come on and do your thing. Y'all give me a hand.
Good evening. My name is Dustin McGee. As Major said, I grew up in a little small town called Hickory right outside of Meridian, right down I-20. We'll talk a little more about I-20 here in a few minutes. I started with the department in December 2012. Before that, I was a teacher and a coach at Newton County High School. Now, I know there's some North Pike fans in here, and we seem to run across each other in the playoffs a lot. I apologize for that up front. I used to be a softball coach. I was the assistant there, and we had a lot of success. I'm not gonna get into all that, but people always ask me, why did I leave something that was so successful to do something else? And it's because God called me to. And I'm a very firm believer when God calls you, you need to go do it. So I got into law enforcement. Year and a half, I was given the privilege to go to an interdiction conference in Cincinnati, Ohio. And I'm not a fan of the North, but I got to go. I've never flown before. It was a new experience for me. A lot of excitement there. My partner tried to give me some knockout medicine so that I would make it without having a panic attack. Once we got there, we were given the opportunity to sit through a class called the Interdiction for the Protection of Children. And I didn't really know what it was. It just seemed like it would be something very interesting. So we sat through it. Really piqued my interest. I came back, and my partner at the time was a guy named Clay Arthur. We rode together for a little while, and we kind of put this together to begin with, but Clay's transitioned into a little something else, so you just get me. I'm sorry. But I sat down, and I really wanted to put something together to bring to light what I had learned and how eye-opening it was to me, and this was 8 years ago. I've picked and transitioned the PowerPoint a little bit through time to keep up with the dates and keep up with the times. But I did this 8 years ago. So it's not nothing new. I know some of you have been to see the movie. I have not yet. But what I've heard and what I've read is some of the things I'm going to talk about kind of really coincide with it because it's the way it happens. Where are the biggest majority of the youth at in here right now? Just raise your hand. Okay. I saw you. But I'm going to ask you guys in a minute. Well, I'm going to get you to do it now. I just want one thing before we get through here tonight. I want you to make me a promise, okay? I won't lie to you. You don't lie to me. We good? All right. Thank you. And I'm not going to bust you out in front of your parents. I just have a couple questions I need to ask. All right? I found the title of it. I don't know if y'all know. I know most of you probably know Dr. Charles Stanley, but he had a son named Andy. Andy did a whole Sunday school sermon on this right here, parental guidance required. So I just kind of stole this part. So, yeah, the cop stole. So that's where I came up with this because it really hit home to me. When I was a teenager, your age, the only social media we had was email, and it had just come about. Y'all don't know nothing about the old AOL. You had the dial-up internet. Y'all think that's funny, but the rest of us in here are like, that's what we grew up on. So that's what I grew up on. That's what I started with. And I had one of those fantastic summer youth ministers. He came in 2 summers in a row with us and worked with us. But he told my dad, he asked him, he said, does Dustin have email? And he's like, yeah, I think he does. Which, in my house, everything went through Dad. So he knew. He said, you really need to know his password to his email. And I was like, I'm sitting over there like, no. But anyway, he came up to me one night. So my dad's 5'9". I'm 6'2". Now, I'm a lot bigger now here than I used to be. But he's still 5'9". My mom's 5'2". I'm the milkman's son. So we pick about that a lot at home. But anyway, he comes up to me, and you can imagine I'm 6'2", and this little 5'9" man standing in my face, and he's like, you're going to tell me your password to your email? And I'm like, no, sir. He's like, I said, that's mine. He said, no, you going to tell me? I said, no, sir, I'm not. And then my dad gets this little anxious sound in his voice. He said it the third time, and I said, yes, sir. So I gave it to him. To this day, I don't know if he ever checked it or not, but he had it, if he ever wanted it. So before I get into this at all, I want to say if you have a parent of a child in here, or you're a grandparent, today's society teaches us to get things out of whack and out of order. And I'm a firm believer of if you're the mom, you're the dad, you're paying the electrical bills, you probably bought the phone, because they don't have to have a computer now. They have a computer at their hand. And and I'm fighting the same battle. I got a 16-year-old. So you own the electricity. Well, you paid for the electricity. You probably paid for the phone. You definitely probably pay the phone bill. So youth, I'm sorry. It's just the way it is. They own it. So if they ask you for it, it's not to control your life. It's to try to help protect you. I didn't see that at 16 years old either, 14, 15. But I see it now that I have a 16-year-old. Everything we do, just like turning them loose to drive down the road. You know, we have a conversation about don't go anywhere that you don't tell us. Of course, we have the cool little app now called Life 360. And all the time, I'm like, what you doing over at so-and-so's house? He's like, man. And I'm like, all you had to do was text me, and then we didn't have to have this conversation. Or just pick up the phone and call me. That's what it's for. But you kids, y'all have a problem with real live conversation. If it's not Snapchat or a text message, y'all don't really know how to communicate. So anyway, I got all that out of the way. Now we're going to get started. Start with apps. Like the kind of the path I'm going to take with this is through social media. It's human trafficking and how social media plays a role. So you can switch to the next slide. How does it play a role in it? It plays the majority of the role in human trafficking. There is a lot of I stole you from Walmart, or I picked you up on the side of the street, but most of the time they're out looking for someone that they've tried to contact through social media, and they just run across a easy target. So the next slide, you'll see, I wasn't expecting this big of a room, so my writing might be a little small. We'll go through it. Most all the kids, they know about TikTok. You know about Snapchat. Snapchat is the #1 app in the country for bullying and for teen suicide. That's what causes it. Because kids do not know how to handle social media. You have X now, which used to be Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, texting, YouTube. The audio manager, these are some of the apps that can be downloaded, that can be hidden apps on your kid's phone from the audio manager down. The calculator with a percentage in it, it's an app that requires a password. So if you see this on there, if you see any app on your kid's phone that requires a password, they don't need it. Vaulty, BurnNote, was it Line? I can't see my own writing. Line, Omegle, Tinder, Blender, Kick Messenger, Yik Yak, and Ask FM. I didn't know anything about Kick Messenger. I went to school, I'm not getting too much detail, but I learned about Kick through a friend of mine, went to school with, grew up with. He used to be somewhere down in this area of the world, and now he's locked up for 40 years of his life because he was stupid. So it is what it is. I hate it for him. I pray for him, but he made his own bed, and made his own mistake. So it's just as quick for adults to get caught up in things as it is kids. But you shouldn't. If you have to question the app, you probably don't need it. There's so many things out there that pedophiles look for. Okay, they look for a weakness, and inside of that weakness, they're looking to exploit that with a kid. And they don't care about the kid. Next slide. And this statement right here says it all. It says, gaining a child's trust means everything to a molester. Violating it means nothing. And that's just the honest to God truth. At the end of the day, they can walk away from that kid, but that kid will never walk away from it. It's with them the rest of their life. So when we get to the next one, not yet, when we get to the next slide, it talks about, I found it, and look, these videos that I'm going to show you, I found on YouTube. It's at the touch of a fingertip. You can find whatever you want to out there. It's been out there for years. But it talks about a mother and a daughter and how her and her mom got in a fight, and she got mad, and she wrote 5 words on her Facebook page: "I hate my mom." And within 45 minutes of her making that post, there was somebody at her house to pick her up. Think about that. 45 minutes. She didn't know the person. Did not know the person at all. But when you put stuff on social media, whether you have everything set to private or not, when you post things, it can be worldwide pretty quick. So apparently they had traffickers in her area of the world. And this girl that came to pick her up, she had been trafficked, but she had worked her way up to the top of the food chain in that area. So now she was the kind of like a hunter. She was the person looking to put the people in. And she found her. So I'm going to step out of the way a little bit. If you'll hit that and then play it.
I was a normal, regular kid. I loved to do theater. I loved soccer and cheerleading.
Hope was filled with innocence, joy, and ambition.
When I was 14, my whole life changed.
My daughter Hope was kidnapped by sex traffickers. Hope was forced into prostitution.
It all started because I posted on a social media site that I hated my mother. A woman messaged me back telling me that I could go stay with her and we'd go partying. She showed up within the next 45 minutes and I was gone.
The suspects target girls who post comments about a negative home life on social media sites and chat rooms.
The 14-year-old, oh, I hate my mom. She doesn't understand me. I can't wait to get out of here.
That's how police say William Jacobs and Shayla Williams met a young North Texas victim who was just 14 years old.
I walked into the motel room. I see a man sitting in the corner. The first thing that came out of his mouth was, "Take off your clothes so we can take these pictures." And I'm like, no, I'm not gonna take my clothes off. He said, "So you wanna do this the hard way?" He hit me a couple times and after that I was out like a light. I woke up in the closet. The closet that I was in was about the size of me right here. After they took me out the closet, they took crushed up pills and they forced them down my throat. After they force fed me pills, I would try to move my body, but I couldn't pick myself up. They made me feel catatonic. After they drugged me, I had my first client.
Hope says she knew if she wanted to make it, she had to find a way to cope.
In order to survive my kidnapping, I had to create an alter ego. They told me that my name wasn't Hope anymore, it was Sophia. So that's the name that I took on. Sophia is the girl that walks with her head high. She was the one who dealt with all the clients and the Johns and beatings. When I was with the traffickers, they never fed me. My source of food would be picking it out of the trash, drinking the water from the faucet. I bit my nails a lot. One time I was taking a shower and he busted it open and beat me with the belt because I locked the door.
The couple is accused of trafficking the teen in 8 different states in only a 3-week period.
The traffickers made me sleep with men in each state. Over 20 men a day. I could never be Hope again after that. I was never going to be the same girl.
Hey, you can pause it.
Hope's mother says her daughter's terrible.
All right, so that's about as real as I can get it for you. And I didn't even have to tell you. She was a 14-year-old girl, and you see what happened to her and how quick it happened. 45 minutes, she made one statement, got picked up, and she lived, I want to say, the next 4 years of her life as a trafficking victim. I always have to be careful when I really try to get real with this. But you heard her say she was on the average of 20 a day, forced. So you have to be careful, kids, about what you put on social media. You can't get mad at mom or dad, and I'm the world's biggest hypocrite telling you that because I am my father's son, and we both have a temper. So I'm glad they didn't have social media like this because there ain't no telling what I'd have said about that little short man. But think before you act because you don't really know what the consequences are. When I was in school for a year, I did in-school suspension, and I absolutely hated it, but I made the kids hate it more than I did, so they wouldn't come back. But one of the things I used to make them right while they were in there was, in life, you have a choice. With every choice comes a consequence. Which consequence do you choose? Because it's either a good or a bad consequence come from it. So with your choice, you choose the consequence when you make the choice. I know that's a lot of choosing and consequence, but it's the truth. All right, so the next slide will be another video, but it'll be based off a guy on the internet, and he's going around. He's really a young guy, but he's kind of like me. He wants to bring awareness to certain situations. He picks out some very young girls in this one, and I think this will hit home for the ones that have seen Sound of Freedom a little bit, because there's some white work vans in this thing. Like I said, I haven't seen it, so if you've seen it, you know what I'm talking about when I say a white work van. Somebody drives that in here, I'm sorry. But it's the reality of it. And when they get to it, you'll see what I'm talking about. But he went on Facebook and friended them, created a fake profile. Before we get into that, this is where I asked you not to lie to me. Okay? Who all has Snapchat? Non-adults, not adults. Who all has Snapchat? Right. I swore I'd never let my son have it, but I caved. But it paid off for me. I'm not getting into that because that's private, but it paid off for me catching him. It goes back to having your kids' passwords to their apps. But anyway, who all on your Snapchat do you know every single person that you're friends with? Like, you have been to their house, you hang out with them, you know every single person that follows you. Every single person. Okay, that's impressive. Now, who all has Instagram? Facebook. Okay. Do you know every single person that follows you? Not that you follow, but every single person that follows you. You know every single person that you follow. Thank you for your honesty. So, I say that to say, you need to have your settings set to private, and then they can't find you to a degree. Secondly, you won't have situations like this happen, because I'm not going to stand here and lie to anybody in this room and tell you that if I was 16 years old and a girl messaged me, or what I thought was a girl messaging me, and said, hey, you want to hang out at the mall tonight? And I thought she was pretty. I'm not going to stand here and give off this false pretense that I would not go. Because if she's pretty, I'm going. Because I ain't real pretty. So, I'm going to take my shot. But it's the reality of it. You don't know who they are. Like, if you cannot sit here and tell me that you know who they are, then you don't know. So why would you give somebody that open moment? And I'm really going to get into the newest trend going on toward the end of the presentation, but this is what I want you to see for right now. So play the video.
What's up, guys? I'm Kobe Person. How easy is it for a pedophile to pick up an underage child using social media? Well, today we're gonna find that out. I made a fake profile on Facebook posing as a 15-year-old boy. With the parents' permission, I friend requested 3 girls, ages 14, 13, and 12 years old. I've been talking to these girls for the last 3 or 4 days, and today we're supposed to meet up. What we found in this video is shocking and something everyone should see. Be sure to watch until the end and use what we've learned in this video to better educate your friends and family. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. This first girl, her name is Michaela. She's 13 years old. We've been talking on Facebook for the last couple of days, and we're supposed to meet up at the park later when her parents leave the house. I'm just waiting right now to get the text that her parents have left the house. So I just got a text. My parents just left. I can be at the park in 10 minutes. We're gonna go see if she comes in 10 minutes. We're gonna go right now, set up all the cameras, and just be waiting there for her. So she said she's gonna meet me at the park playground. So this is the closest to her house, she said. So right now I'm texting her that I just got here. All right, I'll just wait, see what she says. She said, okay, I'll be there in 5 minutes. Oh, she's coming, yep. Michaela? From Facebook. You remember?
Michaela, are you crazy? Are you out of your mind?
Sorry.
All right, pause it right there for me for a minute.
Pedophile. Why would you do this?
All right, I have a 9-year-old daughter. That is me. That is me right there. And it would have been my dad with my older sister. But you see how quickly it can happen. I want you to watch the next one. We're going to skip the third one in this line. But I really want you to watch the next one and watch it close because it goes back to what I'm talking about, kind of with the white work band. First of all, again, hold on, pause it.
Do you know that? Do you know that, like...
All right, he's getting it set. No. Back it up. Nope, right there. Yep. Right in there. That'll work. Because I like to hear it.
This
like to
next
hear
girl, her
father and
name
dad
is Jenna.
conversations.
She's 14 years old. We've been talking online over text message and even had a phone conversation. So right now we have the parents of Jenna. Jenna thinks her parents are going out tonight for date night. She thinks my brother is gonna be driving, so she's gonna get in the car, but she doesn't actually know that it's all just me. So I'm gonna text her right now. Did your parents leave yet? Yeah, like 15 minutes ago. Do you think she's gonna go through with this?
No way.
Absolutely not. I don't even believe it's her. Probably
Okay.
one of her friends playing around with her.
What's your address? All right, is this your house?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, let's go. All right. We are here, come out. You don't think she's coming out?
She better not be coming out.
Oh, I see your door opening.
Yeah, please.
Yep. I see someone.
Can't believe this.
Yeah. Hop in. He's in the back, over here.
Jenna, stop! It's your mother and father! Jenna, look, turn around. Turn around. Turn around. How could you dare go into a stranger's car?
What are you thinking? Just explain
Give me
to
your phone right now. Give me your phone now.
What would have happened if you came out and it wasn't us sitting back here and there were really crazy people back here?
We never would have saw you again.
We watched movies together. We've looked at newspaper articles and the news about all these things are real life situations that have happened. And we've discussed them. What, you think it's fine to go try it out on your own?
But what happened is this van would have drove away and it would have been 3 strangers sitting in this car. Huh? What would you have done? What would we have done when we didn't have our daughter anymore?
All right, you can pause it. You can pause it. So, you see how quickly it can happen. And as a parent, you saw how naive they were. I would ask you not to do that. Now, we as parents, and I'm saying we, have to learn a valuable trust barrier with our kids. But I use the old additive, I don't trust them as far as I can throw them. So, and mine, my 16-year-old, he's not but about 5'8", but he plays weak side linebacker and he's built like a bowling ball, so I can't throw him real far like I used to. But, so our trust barrier is there. But he also is very good about calling me or asking can he go places and do things. And you teenagers get a kick out of this. He called me week before last and asked me could he go watch a fight. I was like, at least you asked. But you see how quick it can happen. Like this is, I don't even know how to explain this. I don't know. I don't know what would go through her head. But mom and dad were 100% positive that she would not come outside and get in that van. And she did. But that's how quick it happens. Just like with the girl from the very first video. 45 minutes and she was gone. And by the time the parents would have realized this happened, could have been 5-6 hours. And now the people that have her have a 5 or 6 hour head start with no idea where they're going. So if you're a parent and you have a kid, you need to make sure that they're if they have an iPhone, you need to make sure the Track My iPhone is on, and you need to make sure they have Life 360. Because that's the one thing They'll take their phone, they may turn it off, but it'll still track. It will still track. So the next set of videos is about boys. So you boys who think y'all are exempt from this, you are sadly mistaken. Back one.
Previously on the dangers of social media.
Are you crazy? Are you out of your mind?
We already lost your mother. What would I do if anything happened to you? What would I do if anything happened to you?
In this episode, I made a fake profile as a 15-year-old girl. Friend requested 3 boys with the parents' permission, and this is what happened. This first boy, his name is John. He's 13 years old. We've been talking for 24 hours. I've hired an actress named Kim to play Amanda's mom. When John knocks on the door, Kim is gonna answer and lure him inside. Let's see what happens. I'm gonna text him right now the address. Sent him the address. And we just wait and see what he says. Okay, he said I'll be there in 10 minutes.
Hi. I'm Amanda's mom.
Oh, okay.
Are you looking for Amanda?
Yes.
Okay.
I am.
Come on in. She's actually down the street at her friend's house, so I can give her a call and let her know that you're here. Okay. You gonna have a seat? Amanda? Yeah, your friend just got here, so you want to come home? Okay. All right. Okay, see you in a few. That should be her. Hey, Amanda, come in.
Jonathan, are you freaking kidding me? Do you even know where you are right now? You could have been killed. Who is this girl, Amanda, you're talking about? Who is she? I don't understand. Didn't I just show you last week that YouTube video? What didn't you not learn about that?
Pause it.
Kids.
So this mom literally showed this boy the 3 videos that you just watched the week before this happened. And he did it anyway. So to say kids are stubborn and they don't listen, they're stubborn and they don't listen. Just like I was stubborn and I didn't listen. We're gonna skip the white van this time and go to the end just for time's sake. So somewhere right in there. Go ahead.
Problem in the past with him talking to people online or that he doesn't know?
No, never.
We've been talking for 12 hours. He actually was very persistent to meet up, but we only had the setup ready with the house and the cameras a couple hours ago. So now that we're here, he thinks that you left for like a dinner with one of your friends, one of your girlfriends.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm gonna text him right now that he can come. So I just sent him the address right now. Oh, he said be there in 20 minutes riding my bike. I'm gonna say just come inside because I will be in the shower.
What are you gonna do now?
Help! Get off me! Help! Help! Please! Get off me!
This is
exactly what you get. How many times have I told you not to talk to strangers on the internet? And then
All right,
you
you can pause
walk
it.
into a stranger's.
So, how much reality do you think set in for that little fella when two grown men come out? Guys, you're not exempt. You're not exempt. It don't matter if you're 14 or 18 or 22. There's always somebody bigger. And they can put you in their situation to where they want to control it. And that's the whole point, is to control the situation. First of all, if you're a 12-year-old boy, who you going to pick up on your bike? And then you're just going to randomly walk in somebody's house you've never met. You've only been talking to this person for 12 hours. You're just going to go in their house and think, look at their fish tank was cool, right? So this kid got a harsh dose of reality in a hurry. It's the world we live in. And again, I had these videos cut 8 years ago. So it's only getting worse. So we'll get into some of the apps now. Go ahead and next slide. Snapchat. I didn't know anything about Snapchat until I went to this class. And this particular thing is based off 2014. That's how long Snapchat's been around. So in 2014, what's the appeal of Snapchat? Or the original appeal of Snapchat was, do what? Disappearing messages, right? And then when it disappears, where does it go? What do they sell you on? They sold you on what? It just goes nowhere, right? Like it's over, it's done. Wrong. It goes to a hard drive at somewhere. So they sold you on the premise that the picture you take or the message you send goes away, and you can set the time. Used to, I don't even have Snapchat. I don't even know how it works. But I can get on my son's and see what he's been doing. So in 2014, Snapchat got hacked, and 4.6 million users' information was hacked in that hack. So if it goes away, there was nothing to hack, right? Wrong. They hacked the database, and every single picture that goes through Snapchat goes into those hard drives and goes into that computer system. So anything on a computer, even if you're the U.S. government or the Chinese government or the whoever, it can be hacked if the right person knows what they're doing. And pedophiles are smart. They sit around, most of them all day long, most of them, or any time that they have free time, and they're on some type of device, whether it be a laptop, a phone, a stationary computer, whatever. And they are trying to find a victim. They're trying to find their next target. So the breach was through the Find Friends feature. That's how they found the weakness, Find Friends. That's how they found the weakness in the system, and that's how they cracked it. Now, Snapchat would want you to think that was the end of it. They were busted, they were found out, and they apologized, and everything was all good. Next slide. So the lady that taught this portion of our class that we were sitting in worked for the Judge Advocate General's office. Some of you older people in here, and I say older, like me, the seasoned generation remember the old TV show Jag, right? So you know what I'm talking about. The lady went through this class, and one of the people that was in the part of the hack hacked photos and created a whole child pornography website based off the photos that he snapped, that he stole. So even back in 2014, there were things being put out there that didn't need to be put out there. So I ask you as a parent to know what your child's username and password are. Even if you're friends with them, don't mean you're seeing everything that they're doing. If you're a teenager in here and I'm busting you out to a degree, I'm sorry, I apologize, but I really don't apologize, I ain't sorry. But it is what it is. It's for your safety, not because mom and daddy are being nosy. I'm coming at you from not your parent perspective. I'm not even coming at you from a parent perspective. I'm just coming at you and telling you that if you got something to hide, you shouldn't be doing it anyway. Next slide. So I had to actually change this yesterday while I was at work to get the new logo. This used to be Twitter. Now it's X. You know, Elon Musk bought it, he changed it. So the lady, when she was teaching that class, she taught us how to use social media to our advantage. So like I said, I'm from Newton County, so I had one kid, and I didn't know anything about Twitter about the time. It says now I do have a Twitter, but it used to say I do not. But without it, I could still get on it and look around. And it took me 10 minutes, using the one person's username, it took me 10 minutes to find 30 different people located in Newton County that had Twitter that were teenagers. 10 minutes to find 30 kids. And I didn't know what I was doing. So, you know, I used some reality checks, and I used to do it, but everybody kind of has it now. But when they didn't have it, I actually would have got Major Foreman to giving me one of your names, and I would have looked you up on social media, and then I would have written it down on my notepad, and I'd have just started calling off all your friends. And then you'd have given me looking at me like I was crazy. But that's how it works. So go in your settings, make sure your kids go in their settings, even you as adults if you have it, and make sure that you set all your information to private. I'm not here to tell you that social media is bad, even though it is, but you can use it and use it the right way. Just make sure everything inside your settings says private. It's not hard. Next slide. Instagram. Everybody knows that Google runs the world, right? Which Meta owns Instagram and Facebook now because they're all together. But Meta is tied to Google. Meta is tied to Google. You Google something, I guarantee you, how many of you have Googled something or searched something on your phone and you have Facebook or Instagram and that's the first ad you see the next time you open the app? Everything's tied to Google. Everything. But if you don't upload a picture or something, like nobody uploads anything from a hard line anymore. You don't actually sit down at your computer and upload your photos because, again, we're walking around with a little mini computer in our pocket, right? So when you post it, a lot of times you'll see right underneath the person's username, you'll see where they were when they posted it, right? You can also stop that by setting that particular setting to off. But if you do it, it will geo-track you to your location. And if you go inside of it, you can look at it, it creates a geosocial footprint. So, good friend of mine, they have a daughter. I was in their wedding. So I've known them my whole life. I asked her, I said, hey, give me your username. I'm gonna show you something. She said, okay. So I punched around on the computer from some of the things that the lady at the JAG class taught us. And I told her, I said, what if I told you last Friday night at a football game, you took a picture, and in Newton County, our stadium goes home side is north to south. We have blue seats in the middle for chairbacks. She posted a picture from the top left corner if you're facing the field. I mean, the exact location. She posted that picture from the top left corner of those blue seats. She said, I don't believe you. I showed it to her. So if you turn that feature off, you can't be geo-tracked, okay? I say that to say, and I'm jumping ahead just a hair. How many of you go on vacation? How many of you post your photos while you're on vacation? Don't do that. Because what you're doing is you're creating a geosocial footprint, and you're telling people in that area where you are. You're also telling people back at home that might be a thief that you're not at home. So it's a two-phase thing. So anytime, like if you go to Destin, which that's my wife's favorite destination on the planet, I want to be in the mountains elk hunting, but that's her thing. So we go. If you post that picture down there, then it brings you into that circle. So everybody that's on your Facebook, everything you do is location-based. So where you are is what you're going to see. So somebody pops up on your feed that's not your friend, it's because they're in that location. They're in that location near you. You're bouncing off the same towers. All right, next slide. spoke about this earlier. You need to know what apps are on your phone. This particular app that I have here is called Scout. It's been shut down and reopened. I think they're in the process trying to shut it down again. Scout was an app that was used up in Colorado area. There was 3 schools with kids and all in them, and they were sharing photos back and forth between the 3 schools. And it ended up being some child pornography in it. And now I want to say about the 60 kids that were involved, they pled out now, but they were facing felony charges for felony child pornography. So teenagers, adults, if any photo comes across your phone or anything on your computer or whatever, and it's child pornography, if you redistribute it, you are now someone who has distributed child pornography. And you can be charged. Didn't say you get convicted. You can be charged. And nobody wants that hanging over their head. So be a proactive parent and not a reactive parent, and know what's on your child's phone. Okay? Next slide. These are some of the logos that they use. When I built this 8 years ago, this was still a very minute thing. You didn't see a whole lot of this. But you'll see these logos on the back of cars now. They're stickers. They'll be stuck on the back of a car. You'll see it on backpacks. You'll see it on purses. You'll see it on clothing. The little hearts right here. If you look to the left side of the slide, right there in the middle, the one that has the hearts. So most TV writers and most movie screenwriters nowadays, they cannot come up with anything original. So they follow real life stories. I used to be one of the world's biggest watchers of Law and Order SVU. I can't watch it anymore for my own personal reasons, but it's because they want to take real life, things that happen in real life, and they want to put it into a TV show like they came up with something original. And I'm like, man, come on. But a little girl, there was a mom family down in Florida. Who all remembers a Kmart? Yeah, I'm not alone. Anyway, the mom went to Kmart right before school started, and she bought her little daughter a backpack. And it came home, and it had this logo, the heart logo on it, hanging from the keychain. And the older daughter said, Mom, that's not, that means something bad. That means something like in the pedophilia world. She's like, oh, no. She's like, Google it, or look it up. So she looks it up. Sure enough, that's what it was. So the mom went straight back to Kmart, showed it to him, and Kmart was family friendly enough at the time. They pulled every single one of those backpacks off the shelf. So they didn't even know, their marketing people didn't even know what they were buying when they were buying it. So somebody tried to slip it in. So be on the lookout for all this kind of stuff. I mean, I know it's a little bit eye-opening to you, like you're looking at and thinking I'm crazy, but it's legit. I'm going to give you a second to take a picture. Ma'am? They tracked the company. I'm sure they handled it on their end, but I don't know what happened. They probably bought their Kmart silence somehow or another. Next slide. It's just the reality of it. It can happen to anyone, no matter what race, age, or gender. So if you have a group of 10 people, 1 out of every 6 is female, 1 out of every 10, 6 are female, 4 are male. So it's almost a 50% split now. Next slide. It's a $150 billion business. When I built this slide 8 years ago, when I built this PowerPoint, it was a $32 billion business. That's how much it's grown in 8 years. It has now surpassed, Major, I found this out yesterday, it has now surpassed drug trafficking as the #1 trade in the country, or in the world, per capita for income. And it's not all sexual. There are still places, even in the United States, that have slave labor. As much as we don't want to believe it, as much as we want to turn our eyes to it, it's the God's honest truth. Every year, and Major Foreman will back me up on this, about the beginning of harvest season or planting season in about March, the buses from Mexico start coming through. And it's buses, I see new buses every year, new companies coming through. And they're taking loads and loads and loads of illegals to Florida, South Carolina, Georgia, and all these places that have plantations to plant so they can have their crop for the year. And I'm not going to get into politics, but based off whoever's in office is whether we get to do anything or not. So it is what it is. So your vote matters. Next slide. All right. Does anybody here know who this kid is? Anybody? Nobody, okay. This kid's name is Walker Montgomery. Was Walker Montgomery. He played football at Starkville Academy. He did play football. So Walker was a good kid. His dad was a minister. And I have a friend that still is, he's a lieutenant at Starkville PD. And we had several conversations about this, so all the information I'm getting is coming from inside the police department. Really was a good kid. All good kids do things that aren't always right, but he was a good kid. Likable, friendly, decent football player. The newest trend that you're seeing right now is called sexploitation. Walker committed suicide at 16 years old because he got online one night, or he's on Instagram, and he was looking through Instagram after they'd all gone to bed, and he got a message. Y'all all know what a DM is, right? A direct message. Not Doc Martens, like we grew up, DMs with Doc Martens. They're direct messages now. They go back and forth. Well, he got a direct message from somebody he thought, it was random, but he thought it was okay. Well, he's a 16-year-old boy, and I'm going to let you read between the lines. But through conversation, he ended up sending a picture or a video to them through the Instagram app that they copied as he was sending it. And so when they got done, they told him, they said, okay, now that you've done this, we're going to send this video to all your friends. We're going to send this video of you doing this to all your friends, to your parents, to all the social media sites that you're on, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, now X, whatever. He's like, well, what do I got to do? They said, well, you got to pay us $1,000. He's like, I don't have $1,000. He's like, they're like, get it from your parents. I can't do that. So this goes on for several hours, and in the process of it all, the dad and the boys, he had a brother. They were big hunters, so the kid had been around guns. He knew how to access his dad's gun safe, and this, and that, and the other. Somewhere around the hours of 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, he killed himself. Because he could not he couldn't stand the shame of what he had done. So I'm saying that to tell you, you cannot do anything in this world that mom and dad will not love you for. They may not like what you did. They may not love what you did, but they will not stop loving you. There's not a single person in this room that has not made a mistake. There's not a single person in this room that has not made a bad mistake. But we all still here. So don't think that there's anything that you can ever do that mom and dad will not love you. Do not take the outcome of what happened to Walker into your own hands. If you want to see his dad's story after the fact, you can go on YouTube and type in Brian Montgomery sexploitation, and you can see the video. I was going to add it in, but it was about 10 minutes long, and I didn't figure everybody wanted to be here till like 7:45 or 8 o'clock. So I'm giving you the link and the access to it. It's Brian Montgomery sexploitation, and it'll pop up. Then you can watch it. You should watch it with your kids, because he goes into more detail than I am, because it's his story, not mine. But if you want to see what it's really kind of like, remember how I told you a few minutes ago, everything on TV reflects real life? Who all watches like the NCISs and the FBIs and all that kind of stuff? Go watch FBI International, Season 2, Episode 2. I see some head shaking. You've seen it, right? You know what I'm talking about. That's exactly what happened to Walker. So go watch it. It's really good TV, and you'll see kind of the whole side of it all. It ain't all going to happen that fast. They did track these people back to the Netherlands with Walker's case. They were able to track the IP back to at least to the Netherlands and turn it over to the Netherlands authorities to do whatever. So next slide. So a little bit of my story. We got back from the thing in 2014, and just like anybody else, and Major Foreman will tell you, when you come back from those conferences, you are fired up and ready to go. 2 days after we got back on duty, Clay stopped this guy right here. I told you he was my former partner. He was in the passenger seat. His actual half-brother was driving the truck. So Clay goes out there with this guy's no longer in the passenger seat. He's in the sleeper berth of the truck. So Clay's like, hey, what happened to your passenger? He's like, oh, I had nobody. He's like, yeah, you did. So he gets them out on separate sides of the truck, does a little small interview with both of them. The driver can speak English. This young man cannot. He was 16 at the time. He calls me over the radio and says, hey, I got something. Come out here. I'm like, all right, I'm on my way. Get out there. I get him, and I bring him back inside our scale house. And he sits down. So the kid came from Colombia, came across the border. He was brought across the border by a coyote. And that's been a term that's been thrown around for the last few years, so most of you know what that is. Somebody who works for the cartel who brings people across, whether it be drugs or people. He was brought across, and when he got across, he paid $1,500 to get brought across. When he got brought across, he got put in a stash house and was told that he had to pay $5,000 more to get out. So he was trafficked twice. When we stopped him, he had gotten out and gotten with his half-brother. He didn't know it was his half-brother because in Latino culture, if you have a child outside of wedlock, the father just disowns you. So he didn't know that was his half-brother. The half-brother knew, he didn't. The half-brother was taking him to his aunt in New Jersey. Long story short, after a lot of talking back and forth, and we talked to a guy we knew at ICE, and he could speak Spanish, so he was able to have a conversation with him. That's how we figured out all this. But all this kid had on him was that cup of coffee and a $20 bill laying in front of his hand. That's all he had in the world. The clothes on him, and that $20 bill and that cup of coffee. So at the time, he was not being trafficked when we found him, so we turned him loose. But we went through a class, and 2 days later, this happened. It's out there. Just like Major told you, they transported 2 in the last month, right? 2 today. So, next slide. This was fiscal year 2022 in the state of Mississippi. I don't know if I heard it. Maybe I imagined it, but I thought I heard somebody say that's scary. But you're right, it is. This is Mississippi. So you heard me say a few minutes ago, or 20, 30 minutes ago now, I talked to you about I-20 again. So I-20 runs through the state of Mississippi, right? Like right through the center. I-20 is known as the sex trafficking superhighway. It runs through the state of Mississippi, through the heart of it. It's 10 minutes from my house. I grew up 2 minutes from there. 2 miles through the woods as the crow flies. At night when it's real clear, you can hear trucks going by. Comes right through it. Birmingham to Atlanta is the biggest hot spot. It happens all the way down it, but Birmingham to Atlanta is the biggest hot spot. Next slide. These are some phone numbers for you. If you want to write them down, type them on your phone, text them. I got this from our human trafficking coordinator at DPS office, Miss Ashley Lucas. Super sweet lady, willing to do anything at any time, and I believe that is her personal phone number. Or her state cell phone number anyway. The 987. We live in tumultuous times. To the reality of it all. It's in your Walmarts. It's in your parking lots. It's in your local Sam's, if y'all have a Sam's anywhere near here. It's in any truck stop. Truckers Against Trafficking, they are really blowing up. They have created so many different things and so many different avenues. They're tied in with most all the trucking companies that want to participate. The large companies, pretty much all. But a lot of the smaller ones are getting in on it too. They're training those truck drivers. They're training attendants at the convenience stores, like the Loves, the TAs, all the majors, Flying J's, pilots. They go into those places throughout the year, every year, training all those different employees for signs of human trafficking. The biggest thing I can tell you is if you see something, say something. So what if you're wrong? Wouldn't you rather be wrong? I would rather be wrong all day, every day. Yes, ma'am. So there are a lot of things, especially with DPS, Homeland Security, and the FBI. They all have huge things going on right now, helping and all that. But you're right. What would have happened if it had not been them? And everybody in here most familiar with Tim Tebow. Tim Tebow has an organization inside the Tim Tebow Foundation that he does wonderful things to help fight human trafficking. Adam LaRoche used to be the first baseman for the Braves, White Sox. Through his E3 Foundation, same type thing. Clayton Kershaw, pitcher for the Dodgers. They're all in together with all this. There's a bunch of people doing all this. It's the new drug trafficking. Just for simple put it. Now that didn't go away, but this is the newest thing. And they're not after us. They're after your kids. They don't need us. The average person trafficked is from the age of 2 to 26. Boys usually get cut off as far as sex trafficking about 18 or 19, 20. But they will keep a female up until the age of about 26 and they're no good to them anymore, throw them away. The problem is they have no identity at the end of it, so they go back. And that's where you get the top tier, what I was talking about. They're no longer good in that aspect, but they know how to recruit. It's because they've been brainwashed for so long. So that's really all I got. If you have any questions, I'll be around for a few minutes afterwards. We'll talk for a little bit, but I do have a 2.5-hour ride home. But I'll stay and talk as long as you need to. I don't have a problem talking. But thank you for your time, and thank you for your attention.